Thomas, you need to go off mute.
Sorry for that little delay. Thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions during the presentation, please feel free to put your questions in the chat box and we will address them later. We'll be recording this session and it will be shared on our website, and you'll receive a link to view the presentation later. My name is Tom Hinshaw and I'm a consultant to Agile Handover. Today, Jeff Nolan, Steve Sims, and I will cover the challenges of managing data in today's environment and demonstrate a solution that will bring order to your record document management. For 30 years, I was a civil servant architect for the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. Early in my career, I was a project architect and project manager generating drawings, specifications, and catalog cuts of all the products and equipment that went into NASA's facilities. After retiring as the Architectural Structural Systems Manager at NASA's John Glenn Research Center in 2018, I joined Agile Handover as a technical consultant. Having managed the assets for the government, I understand the needs facility owners have for storing, accessing, retrieving, and processing construction documentation from design through the entire life of a facility. We all have experienced some crisis in our life, either personal, on the job, or in a community situation. During my career with NASA, I went through several government shutdowns, roof failures, and a tornado. At other NASA sites, we experienced hurricanes, floods, and earthquakes. You can imagine what a challenge I and my colleagues faced gathering data for people in Washington, D.C. to make decisions when ongoing research activities on the ground and in space had to be maintained. Shutting off the wrong utilities could affect the lives of people working in space. Recently, the worldwide pandemic of the coronavirus, coupled with resulting financial challenges, has certainly created one of the most stressful and challenging environments for everyone worldwide. We are all faced with personal issues of school closings, financial uncertainty, and entire new work habits and processes. Facility managers and operators have an additional challenge. Closed or almost empty building doesn't mean your job is on hold. In fact, you are faced with doing the critical work of maintaining and caring for an empty facility to ensure continued operation as needed in preparation for restarting when the time comes. Add on the issues related to protests and property destruction means security issues also need to be addressed. Hopefully, most of us are now beyond survival of the pandemic crisis and its ripple effect. You almost feel comfortable that you have survived the worst of it, but wait, there's more coming. It's the morning after now, and your job is about to get really challenging. In the restart process of recovery, as people prepare to re-enter your facilities, you are faced with new challenges. Flipping the switches and turning on the environment is just the start. New cleaning procedures, chemicals, vendors, and even equipment will be needed. Temperature cameras and processes to prevent entry of possibly infected individuals will need to be in place. Workplace and space planning will suddenly become top of mind in the executive suite. Even possible total relocation of the facility might come under consideration. These tasks and more will put the facility manager front and center and the main source for making the changes. You will be flooded with questions on every detail. The question is, are you prepared? You are going to need lots of information at your fingertips. There's no time for searching files online, filing cabinets, or even checking multiple systems that you rely on every day. Which one of your data repositories has the most recent document? Much equipment might require visiting old manuals for the restart and operation. documents for warranties, CAD space planning drawings, contracts, invoices, Excel files, and PDF docs all contain bits of information. It's time to consider the organization and consolidation of all your data needs. At Agile Handover, we've worked with a variety of construction and facilities managers in different industries. All have one or multiple systems for organizing their work environment. Many use simple shared drives and directories of files. Some have built systems out of document management or collaborative environments like SharePoint. Many still have rooms of paper drawings that are available for eventual digitization. Of course, many use specific applications for maintenance management. The problem is all of this are organized in different data silos that are not coordinated, often redundant and periodically updated. At Agile Handover, we solve this problem by providing a full suite of tools to extract, transform, and load all of this information continuously and provide coordinated synchronization to multiple back-end systems. We provide the total intelligent integration engine and knowledge portal to provide a complete coordinated solution for all facility data management. In recognition of the need to accelerate and simplify the extracted, transform, and load process, we recently announced the Agile Handover Lite product. Agile Handover Lite quickly organizes existing document repositories and posts them automatically to SharePoint. During the extract phase, documents are indexed, tagged, and organized based on organization's logical rules and metadata extracted from the files. The extracted data and files are transformed into a knowledge portal with full search capabilities, unlimited user access, and common fields for facility location systems and equipment. Finally, all the transformed information is loaded into SharePoint or organized files for an easy, familiar navigational interface. Note that the total integration and synchronization to multiple facility management systems is upgradable with the full Agile Handover product. During this recovery process, facilities managers have the opportunity to truly contribute at the top levels of the business. Preparing your organization to meet these needs will require agility and quick responses to a variety of questions based on data. It makes sense to begin the data organization now. Later, when life gets back to some form of normality, you will be prepared to totally integrate all your facility information resources. This organized synchronization of data is necessary to prepare for the future of total real-time digitization and automation of facilities. You will survive and even thrive if you are prepared. So let me turn over the presentation now to Jeff Nolan.
Jeff, you're still on mute.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. Can you hear me now, Thomas and Steve? Hey guys, am I coming through now?
Now you're loud and clear.
Okay. All right, sorry about that. Some technical difficulties. So hey everybody, my name is Jeff Nolan. I'm one of the co-founders of Agile Handover, and today we're introducing our streamlined product called Agile Handover Lite, which has been designed based on facility management best practices to efficiently and simply transform and migrate existing facility infrastructure files from a Windows environment into a SharePoint environment. And then utilizing our Agile Handover Knowledge Portal Lite to be able to quickly and easily access those documents. So I'm going to review a couple things for you. Number one, Agile Handover Lite and how we utilize that to capture metadata from mission critical facility documents. And then also I will explore the knowledge portal, which is our navigation environment, which is a simple facility-based navigation interface to access documentation as well as details, data about your particular facility. For instance, being able to browse by a particular location and dive in and look at the equipment and any documentation related to that equipment. So how we get there, the first step is we look at your existing information, which has been moved into a SharePoint environment. So I'll just go ahead and switch over now into a typical Windows Explorer environment. So in a lot of cases, what you'll see is usually a network drive, a J drive, or some other network location where the majority of the facility information is stored. Right, so we have a typical environment where you have a buildings folder, projects, which may even be its own separate network drive. And so what we can see inside of here are all the different documents related to this building. In this case, I'll just go ahead and open up a basic plan that we have for this building. So here we can see the first floor. This is just one of the building that may be a part of a larger campus. So the way that our system works is we connect to these folders and files with our desktop tool. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to that now. So here's our environment and opened up, and you can see all the different documents that are listed here. In this case, it just went right into a warranty document for a panel. So this is for a Eaton panel. Here we can see the document. If we look at the name of this file here, it's just called Electrical Panel Eaton, right? So what this tool does is it connects to the Windows Explorer document and tries to extract as much information as possible based on engineering knowledge. For instance, we're looking for these through these documents, for instance, for category, right? So by crawling through and reading through the file name, including the folder path, right? We just kind of run a processor through this and we discover different types. So this is a warranty document. So here's an inspection file for a pump. Right, so we're able to go through these documents here and pull a base level amount of information based on our engineering rules. Right, so the next process here, if I just select all these documents, we can go ahead and apply additional engineering rules to this. For instance, this process here is going through the file path, through the information that's stored within the documents, and it's looking for certain keywords. For instance, panel, different system information, and it goes through and crawls through the documents based on different requirements. For instance, you might provide a list of manufacturers or a list of equipment types, things of that nature. Right. So if I look at these different objects here, this is for a distribution panel. So based on those lists, we're able to go through and extract this information. So here I know this is a distribution panel. All the various information about these documents is extracted and pulled through with our engineering logic. So once we've gotten metadata and extracted that from the file, the next step is to understand what type of needs does the facility manager have. For instance, do you have large submittal packages? In a lot of cases, as part of a project submittal, you'll get a single bundled PDF that has, multiple equipment in it or multiple CAD sheets. And so that can be cumbersome to sort through, especially if you just need one page and you have to go through a 100-page PDF. So what we provide is a capability to go through the documents and manipulate them in a whole host of ways. So for this, what I'm going to go ahead and do is pick a full CAD set. So here we can see the CAD document. This is multiple pages, right? There's, I think, around 15 or so pages inside of this PDF. We can look over here and see all the different bookmarks. So here's the second floor electrical plan, second floor mechanical plan. So this is a PDF document that can be opened up and viewed with Adobe. But in a lot of cases, you might want this as a bunch of individual sheets prior to the migration process over to a new environment, right? So we can take these large PDFs and really quickly we can break them apart into individual smaller pages. So if I just come in here and break pages apart, so what we're going to do is with this tool, number one, I can define really detailed information if I wanted for this process, but our tool will also read the bookmarks that are contained within these PDFs. So by clicking that button, it's going to read through the PDF, discover all the individual pages that are within it, and then break this document apart. Right. So if I just click process here, it says eight additional files were created. I can switch over in and now see those individual files. So if I click on one, we'll see we now have an individual sheet. It gave it a title based on the bookmark, right? But there's a lot of the other information that isn't filled in. So the main key with our solution is to be able to gather as much metadata from these files as possible to make it easy to find, right? So say you want to organize documents by discipline. We need to fill this information in for all these different files, or if we want to organize them by floor or different pieces of equipment, right? So what I can do is we have several automated tools for doing this. And if we zoom in here and review the title block for this file, we'll see within these files, there's quite a bit of information here, the floor, the discipline, and the sheet number. So what we have is a tool to go through the attributes of this file and extract information utilizing a OCR scanner. So if I just say here, I'm going to extract data from the location of this PDF, I can come in and start to extract certain data. So the sheet number. So now all I have to say is to extract the sheet number, I want this processor to look within a certain location within this document. So I'm just going to draw a box around here, and it's going to read anything that it finds underneath my mouse and fill in the sheet number. Right. The other thing I'm going to want to capture is also the discipline. So then I just select discipline, draw a box here. And then the third thing that I want to capture is also the floor. So I just select floor, click here, and then draw a box around the floor. So I could go ahead and capture any amount of information that I want to get from this. We have a lot of more advanced tools for, capturing the data in different procedures. Let me fix this one a little bit. So now all that I have to do is, since I have all these documents selected down here, right, we can see that I'm going to go through these files. I'm going to fill in the sheet number that I capture from the actual document. I'm also going to capture the discipline, right? So we're going to fill that in as well as the floor. So I'm just going to go ahead and process these selected files. Once I do that, you can see how it goes through each document one at a time, and it captures all the required metadata from these files. One thing you're going to notice, which is really common within the engineering world, is that some of these documents, it didn't quite work. If I look at this one, it captured EF201. If I look at this one, it captured MF 101. But for these three here, if I review this document, it didn't capture the right information. So this is really what our software is designed to do. It's to enable you to capture critical mission information, mission critical information as quickly as possible from these documents and provide a level of quality control to make sure that the data is captured properly. I mean, everyone who's been in this world knows each company that you're dealing with may submit the title block shifted a little bit, or there's all sorts of inconsistencies that happen within the engineering world. And so that's what our tools enable you to do. I can just come in here now and just by selecting these three documents only, I can update the location for sheet number, for discipline, and make sure that for these three documents where it was shifted a little bit, I can just go ahead and quickly fix that and just rerun the tool against only these three selected documents. And you'll see the data down here instantly update. Okay, so once we've gotten all the metadata that we need and we've captured all the information properly, right? There's some other really important things that we want to make sure that we do, right? So the next step is transforming this information for O&M purposes. So imagine being a facility manager and needing to find the first floor documents for this building. So if you ran a search, it would depend on how you spelled the word first. So, right. So each of these documents were submitted by different contractors. They have different naming conventions for their floors. So what we're able to do in our tool is to look through and understand these different type of values, quickly organize the data that we've extracted from these files and clean it up in a real simple and managed way. So all I have to do is come into this environment and search by floor, and we can quickly see all the different spellings of floor that I have in here. So here we have first floor. Down here we have it filled in a little bit differently. So by selecting all this information in here, I can just come in and quickly correct the floor for all these objects by just selecting my attribute that I want to update and then picking from our list of valid floors. So all I have to do is double click here, and now if I come down and scroll, you'll see that all the floors have been updated properly. Just to make sure this is done properly, I'm going to go ahead and do it for the second floor as well and update all these. Make sure those are spelled correctly. So there's a whole host of different metadata cleanup that we can do with this information. So you can see by capturing all this metadata, for instance, floors, right, different equipment types that we're interested in. Whoops. We're able to quickly, have all this data updated and available to use for the facility management teams, right? So here we know all these three documents are related to boilers. If we come over and look at the title, they're boiler feed pumps within boilers within different facilities. So then we just get all this data cleaned up and ready to go. The next part of this is locating and managing duplicates. So something we see at a lot of customer sites is this huge problem of duplicates, files being copied and duplicated and moved around. By quickly being able to identify those duplicates, we're able to deal with those in a real streamlined way. So we have a real powerful tool for quickly locating and identifying duplicates based on a host of criteria that we can look at. Do the titles match? Are there different revisions for the documents, for instance? So by knowing and tracking all that type of metadata, we can see, okay, we have this file AF100. There's multiple versions of that, but one of them is actually a revision with the stored revision number. So we can keep track of all that metadata and all that information and utilize that to discover and mark things that are duplicates. And then once those things get migrated into the SharePoint environment later, we take care of all those duplicates and make sure that those are removed for you. And so if they're a revision, of course, they will not be removed. So the last step, once we've gone through and captured all this metadata, is to just move everything into SharePoint. And this procedure is based on the metadata that we've derived during the extraction and data transformation and cleanup process. So we have a built-in engine within our technology to migrate the documents automatically. So I'll start off first by just showing a clean SharePoint environment. So this is a environment that I created just a little while ago. And currently this is blank. There's no documents in here, as well as no way to navigate the documents within our environment. So if you'll see here, this is just a standard SharePoint location. Each organization is usually granted a SharePoint as part of their IT cost. So one of the things that we're trying to take advantage of is existing solutions that are utilized by the various campuses. So if you already have a SharePoint or a Microsoft account, we can just take full advantage of that and push all these documents into this environment. So to do that, the first thing that I have to do once I'm done processing all these documents here is we just have to mark these off as being complete, right? So we've got the document type filled in properly. Is it a flow diagram, inspection, O&M manual? All the titles are clean. We've pulled through and organized the sheet numbers by gathering those from equipment files or title blocks, pulled through project names from folders, etc. So all this stuff that we've been able to capture automatically, we just kind of verify that information. And then we write all that information up into our cloud server. So all this is doing is taking all this data that we've processed and it's creating the organization structure automatically. So we have within our engine a sort of a lot of different logic built-ins. So if you have a building, that building has things about it. You know, it has floors. The floors have rooms. Within those rooms, there's pieces of equipment. There's systems within the building. So we understand all that logic and that knowledge, and we utilize that information to organize all the information properly, right? So we're able to structure the information in the best way. So once we migrate that information in, the next part is to also move the documents. So what I have to do is connect to my SharePoint. So all I do is I just put my SharePoint location here, which is the site that I was showing you earlier, the CFTA folder. And then I just have to log into SharePoint. So, whoops. Just have to enter in my SharePoint user information. So this would utilize your current Microsoft SharePoint account through whichever organization you're at. So the university's own personal SharePoint would be utilized here. So once I do that now, the rules that we have in place here are really powerful. And so we're able to not only move documents to SharePoint, but we're doing quite a lot more with these documents. If I click on this one, for instance, down here, this is a plan. It's an architectural file. So on the left here, we can see the source location where this document is originally stored inside the network drive. And then over on the right, we see the target destination where we're going to write that file to. So what we're able to do is move these documents not only into different folders. Say you want all your CAD files in a folder called plans, right? And maybe all your detailed files, you want those moved into a folder called details. So you can see originally this file was in a folder called plans, and we're able to move that file into a different folder, and all that information is built into our script. And this is something that Steve is going to talk about a little bit more, but we will work with you as part of our training sessions to make sure that we understand your rules and your needs and set this up for you so that it everything is configured properly. Once I click process here, it's going to just go ahead and start it. So if you think about what I've done so far is I just went in with our desktop tool, ran our out of the box processors, which looked for certain equipment types, floor naming conventions, project naming conventions. It went through and looked for a whole host of things. And now it's moving those documents into SharePoint. So if I just refresh this folder here, we'll start to see stuff pop up automatically. So this was just written a few seconds ago. So it starts to create the building folders, create the subfolders, create the equipment identifying folders, and then move and rename and put those documents into SharePoint in a common and cleansed environment. So once that's done, that's basically it, right? So now we have everything we need pushed over into SharePoint. The documents are stored in a relatively well-managed environment, but the heart of our solution is our environment to enable you to quickly find the information that is needed. And I'll just go ahead and switch over to that now. So if we jump into the environment, once this is done being processed, we have everything in a really clean and structured environment that is familiar and easily searchable by a facility management team. Number one, you see here we have everything organized by locations. So I can just come in and browse by a building name, building RL1, main research building. I can browse into a floor, and then I can select the room. And so if I select this room here, everything that you see in this interface is going to dynamically update based on that selection. So I just click mechanical room. It loads everything for that room. So then if I want to see pieces of equipment that are within this room, I just select component, and now I can see my equipment. So here we have a pump, a boiler, and some of the other objects that are related. If I click on documents, I can see for this particular pump, there was an inspection that was done. If I click open, it's going to jump out to the SharePoint environment where this document lives and open up the inspection file for this particular pump. But you might want to see other documents about this pump as well. So if I click on the type, it's going to jump to the equipment type. So I click type, it's going to browse me out to my pump. And now I can see even more documents about this pump. So now at the type level, since there might be 50 or so pumps, right, we can now see the operation manual related to the pump. Same thing, I can open that up. It goes out to SharePoint and finds the documents. So I have all the full functionality that I would have inside of SharePoint that I would want to do with this document, including following the security protocols of SharePoint. So there's the thing with this environment that's so powerful is really it's Google-like functionality to be able to search, right? So say for instance you like to locate things by asset type, so we can quickly come in and just click on a type, see all the documents and information related to that type. There might be a mechanical engineer or someone who works on the boilers every day, and they have 3 or 4 boilers and they know the serial number. So we can enable, a quick search for a serial number, and that would locate those documents. If maybe there's a systems engineer who likes to see things organized by system and browse data in that manner, right? So there's a whole host of different ways. For instance, following up on the idea of being a system engineer, right? I can just come in here and click on cold water, and this is going to load every single document that is related to the cold water system, right? So now all I see, everything in here is in some way related to the cold water system. And then I can browse into a building research, building 3. And now we've dove in a little bit further, right? So if I want to see documents related to that system only, now I can see different things, and I can dive even further to just see the process and instrument diagram that shows the system 1 line for this particular cold water system. So within 2 or 3 clicks, by implementing this, you're able to find what you need. And we found significant ROIs from our customers with locating what's needed quickly without having to, go through Windows and browse and dive in. One of the big reasons for that are some of the more advanced things that we have. You'll notice here there's a button called Related. This is a unique functionality that only our software has that actually looks through our data relationships that we've gathered throughout the extract, transform, and load process, right? So if I click on Related, it's going to find any information that's related to this document. So this document is related to the cold water system. So just by clicking that, I'm able to see the cold water system and any documents that is related to that. So all these documents can show up in more than one place, right? So this document shows up here, right? It also shows up right here. Because one document, it's a one-to-many type relationship. To show you what I mean, if I click on the components that are related to this cold water system, when we initially extracted and processed the data, we were able to build that relationship and put all that together. So when I click components, it's just going to load the components that are connected to the cold water system. And as a byproduct of that, they're also related to the hot water system because it's a dual temperature controlled system. Right, so this is just how our technology works. For instance, for this boiler, I click location. It's going to take me right to the room for that particular boiler, right? So here's our mechanical room, all the documents related to this room, etc. I can click on floor. It'll take me up to the floor. So it's just kind of an endless strew of navigation and a combination of doing quick searches and a whole host of other ways to navigate the information. So now I'm going to go ahead and just run through a quick high-level overview. This will take maybe a minute at most. It's just a summary of all the things that I just showed. For instance, organizing the information, locating duplicates, etc. So the first step that I did was I came into our desktop tool and captured a wide variety of metadata automatically by looking at the folder path, extracting information from the documents using our OCR processors. And then we did some additional things, manipulating the files, for instance, breaking apart large PDF submittals, rotating pages if pages are messed up and need to be rotated. We can also combine individual sheets into a single PDF. So we did some basic PDF manipulation that our tool supports. And then the next step was migrating this information into SharePoint. So all the documentation, once this process is done, we should have all of our buildings in here now. This was kind of running in the background. So we get all of our documents migrated in successfully, and the navigation interface set up instantly that is linked to the documents that are stored within SharePoint. I think that's a pretty good summary and overview of Agile Handover Lite. Like Thomas mentioned at the beginning, we'll be taking questions at the end. And now Steve Sims, who is in our business development group, is going to go over our no-cost pilot. So Steve, you can take it away.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Well, everybody, I really appreciate you spending time with us today and seeing what we're offering out there. I will tell you that, this technology has been thought about, wanted, desired for 15 years, or at least from my perspective, and it's been 3 years in the making, been out there in the marketplace, and it is patented technology. But, we're technology folks, we're operations people, and so we believe in, seeing is good, but doing is better. And so what we're offering to the CFTA community is the ability to drive this technology and do it from a no-cost perspective, to just see how simple it is and how powerful it is to organize, index, and associate documents and metadata like you've always dreamed of, but just struggled. So what we're offering is again a 60-day pilot to work with you guys and let you test drive this and put it in production and do validation to your heart's content. What we do, different than a lot of folks, is we provide the technology because if you're going to use it, you want everybody that needs to have access to it have access. So we offer the Agile Handover Lite that Jeff was showing you, which is truly a desktop tool for doing data handover, cleansing, transformation, and association. And then we provide the Knowledge Portal Lite, which is a cloud-based service that basically has the indexing and gives you unlimited search capability. So if you look at document management systems, you got administrators and doers and users, but the viewers then are somewhat limited. This doesn't give you any limitation on that because everybody has access to it that needs it. We make it simple. So there's a quick start guide. It's basically a little 3-page document that takes you through the steps of this. So we provide you that, give you the link. 2 people, 5 people, 10 people, however many folks you want, can download the product and start using the Agile Handover Lite. The instructions for having access to the cloud portal is basically you just go there, you log on, and you set up a password, and now you're a user viewer and can have access to that. And we also provide a sample data set to let you kind of get your feet wet and walk through the process. But the nice thing is, even though this is all free, we still want to make sure that we can work with you. And so we offer 8 hours of coaching training. And basically what that is to introduce you to the product, take you through the sample data set, and then start helping you organize and transform your own data and put it into SharePoint so you can have access. Give you an example, the UT Austin folks, they've been talking to us for about a year, and now they're about to go to pilot. And what they're wanting to do is take their project workflow that's kind of convoluted, it's got stuff all over the place, and they want to normalize it and put it in their SharePoint because they use SharePoint right now to do project review, and they use their workflow stuff through Teams to establish that. And so they'll tie into our workflow engine, and they can then go through this process, have all their data, let's say, secure, then online, because a lot of times people, they'll do a project submittal, but you won't get all of the documents you're looking for that you bought and paid for, and you certainly won't have them associated and have all the attributes. So this will help them put that into process and set up a best practice with the intent to then, after they finalize the project review and it's approved, then they'll provision that data and migrate it with the same structure scenario and the intelligent association and move it over to their Meridian environment. So, we work with folks, however you need to do it, through an Archibus or a Maximo or a Tririga or a Meridian. And we also then help you push that to your permanent environment. And you can use the same knowledge search tools with the Knowledge Portal, just like you had. So we're able to do that because this is, patented technology that just clicks and ticks and makes your life simple for a change. But we want to show you how to do it so you can realize the value. Now, after the pilot, and if you're satisfied with it and you do want to procure it, then we work with you. And like I said, it's an unlimited user license for the Agile Handover Lite and the Knowledge Portal Lite. So we make it affordable and efficient to get your job done and bring facilities data, which is your intellectual property for running your assets, basically truly cleansed, normalized, indexed, and associated, and online at your fingertips, so anybody and everybody can find what they need when they need it and be secured that it's the right documents that they're looking for. So we appreciate your time today, and we want to work with you. And if you guys have questions, we'll open that up to the floor now. So feel free. I didn't see any in the chat window. Oh, there's one. Matthew, is it possible for your software to extract and structure data from an IFC format, extracted from a BIM model? Extract data, I'm scrolling down, from an XML file. Well, Matthew, we've been in the BIM game all our lives, and we work with IFC, we work with Revit models, we work with XML files. So yes, basically any data that you have in any format can be extracted, transformed, normalized, and the whole schmear. So, we support Kobe. We basically support every format out there, whether it's from a O&M system, whether it's from some pseudo industry standard or some standard. We're currently working with the NASA folks, as Thomas had mentioned, but we're going to be working with the NASA guys to take the Unified Guide SPI spec and turn it into a NASA specific spec that will also have the Omni class code. So when they do have their Kobe submittals or their IFC files or their BIM files coming through, that data can be read, it can be transformed to the standard it's looking for, and it can be added, because what they want to do is turn this into a cleansed master equipment list in their Maximo maintenance management system. So we're working with them on that and other people to do those same type things. So hopefully that answered your question, Matthew. And if you guys want to go off mute and ask a question, that's fine. That's why we're here.
Yeah. Good. Yep, we don't mind. You guys can chat all you want.
So I know there's bound to be some more questions.
Yeah, Steve, it looks like one just came through.
Oh, okay. Let me look. From Parvana, who does the cleaning of the data? If we do it, how complicated or time consuming is your schema? Well, the cleaning of the data can, of course, be done by a data analyst. It can be done by, a project manager. It can be done by anybody, because we've made it simple, because we have the capabilities to read that and understand that data of all types. And so literally, like Jeff was showing you, he's taken some structured, unstructured data that's like and unlike. It's ambiguous at best. And we normalize that data through the rules of facilities management, because, we've been doing this for decades. And so the system basically can take this data and start running through it and cleaning it up. And the nice thing is it's not a database table where you have to define everything and hope like heck you got it all. This actually can transform stuff on the fly. So if you didn't like what you did, you could just redo it all to exactly what you need. Okay. So it's not time consuming. It is dirty work, but it is a lot simpler and a lot more effective and efficient than anything you've ever seen. So
Yeah, and our system is actually schemaless at its core level. So we do define a real simple baseline schema, and all it contains, to answer the part about the schema, all it really does is building, floor, space, component, system, and then zone and discipline. So it's really straightforward and follows facility management best practices.
Right. So Monty had a question, and it was, does the portal handle viewing different file types, or do you require software on the local PC, say a DWG or Revit file? So Monty, whatever the native file is, if you're opening up a Word document, it'll open up in Word. If you're opening up a Revit file, it'll certainly open up in Revit or in a Revit viewer. Same thing with DWG, AutoCAD, or a viewer. We're not like Bluebeam where we turn everything into something. We want you to have access to your files, and so if people have access to view a Revit because they're part of the domain that has rights to read and write to Revit updates, then yes. And if those files are submitted, and for the viewer community, you have PDF renditions of those files, then you have access to them as well.
Correct. So in this instance with Agile Handover Lite, we utilize the SharePoint viewing engine. So SharePoint has a plugin for DWGs that can be easily added that we do with customers. But beyond that, we support, of course, it's SharePoint, so it supports opening up Word docs, Excel spreadsheets, anything like that.
Right. So Josh had a question. How does this compare to what Accruent offers? Well, Accruent offers, the typical document management system, Meridian. And if you look at what you put in Meridian, if you didn't cleanse it, and if you didn't transform it to be standardized and intelligent and associated, then you're not going to be able to find it. And that's true in every document management system. We have a large oil and gas customer that is cleaning up their Meridian environment because of that. And they're also doing the transformation load migration of lots of historical data that's all over the place in all sorts of O&M silos. So, we don't replace document management because we don't do the check-in, check-out, and the security and revision control and all that stuff. What we do is give you an access to it, whether it's SharePoint or Meridian or Documentum, so you can find exactly what you need from wherever, and it's consistent with what it should be. And likewise, if it's in the Meridian system, and yet it's supposed to be in Maximo, what's it called in Meridian? What's it called in Maximo? Good luck having it associated. So what we do is make sure that your silos are not replicating data, they're pointing to data, and it's indexed and associated so you can find it. And so if a facilities guy needs something out of Meridian, he can get it. And if he needs something out of Maximo, he can get it as well. And that's the beauty, because BIM calls it one thing, maintenance management calls another, document management calls another, and facilities management calls it another. And that's been the dilemma of disparate silos ever since that technology's been around. So what we do is facilitate that so you can get it. And is there a mobile app for the viewer? Jeff, you want to answer that one?
Yeah, so all this information is available through the web client. So it's a web mobile app, basically, and you can view this information from mobile or any other location. So some of that has to do with security, of course. So, but yeah, so if you have your information behind your firewall, the phone has to have that sort of VPN connection set up, etc. So it depends on some of those things.
But to answer it, yes. If you have a network, you can have access to it, whether you're on the phone, whether you're on the computer, a laptop, or a tablet.
Yeah, and like Steve was saying too, in a lot of cases in production, there might already be a mobile app that's used, for instance, a CMMS app. So we have ways to send customized links that coordinate with those other systems. For instance, to just say, show me only the documents for boiler one
Right.
from your CMMS. So we have a direct link that we can provide to CMMS that they just put in to their, that'll take them directly to the, the inspection document or just the O&M manual. So we do a lot to make sure that this integrates with other things as
Well,
well.
to answer it clearly, we do tab view support in any O&M system. So if
Yeah.
you're in a building control system as a Honeywell or a Siemens, you have access straight through that building control system to this information. Same thing holds true for maintenance management. Same thing holds true for document management.
Yeah, so the document management part is crucial. So for Agile Handover Lite, it's configured to operate with SharePoint. But like Steve said before, throughout the project handover stage, the end result could be Meridian. It doesn't matter to us. It could be anything.
So do we have any more questions? We still have 2 minutes. You're welcome, Monty. And Matthew, could we restrict access to certain documents for certain users? For example, we don't want a certain subcontractor to access certain plans. Sure.
Yeah.
That's just called domain security control.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, there's also unique views that can be set up there's a whole host of ways.
Well, thank you, Josh. Appreciate that. It would be more impressive if you want to engage with us, and we'll set you up and use the software. Sorry, I'm a seeing's believing, doing's better kind of person. So that's why we make this offer, because we're pretty good at this, and we can help you guys see the real value. I mean, folks from universities. I'm jumping on my boss right now. How funny! I love it. Good one, Josh. I'll help you if you need it. Anyway, we want to work with you guys, so feel free. We're easy people. We know what we're doing, and we can help you be successful. So give us a try. Shoot me an email, whatever you want to do, and we'll reach out to you. And yes, we are going to send the recording. So after we sign off and the recording's saved, I'll send everyone that registered a link to the webinar recording. Okay, folks? Well, with that, our time is up. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Have a good afternoon. Bye.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.